It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week, we're going through the Disney Plus Day announcements.
Yes.
The ones that pertain to the show, thankfully. There's a lot of them.
I feel like more accurately, we should say going through Disney Plus's Twitter feed.
Yes.
Because that's what it ended up actually being. But yeah, we'll talk about all that.
Thankfully, there's at least 2 video clips we can talk about, but that's about all we got for our end. Doctor Strange leaks could lead to reshoots, and we'll talk about what this means.
Oh, Feige wagging his finger.
Oh, it's like a Feige hammer coming down on us. GunDAMN teases us and more.
And more. It's been a hot week out here in the West Coast, which has been a little confusing because November 1st is when the radio and all the department stores start whipping out the holiday-themed things. So I had like this moment where I was just blasting the AC in my car this weekend, looking out on the sidewalk, seeing people in like shorts and like, tank tops, like running in like the hot sun. I'm like, can't listen to Rudolph right now, so I had to switch the radio station over. So my brain is like currently in like seasonal whiplash. I think we're kind of going back to normal fallish weather for SoCal here on Tuesday. So I'm just in an odd mental state at the moment.
Well,
and also, like, Thanksgiving for America is in a week, so we bought our turkey because we heard rumors of possible, like, turkey shortages, which I'm sure is mainly it's going to be more of a psychological shortage than it actually happening. People are probably just going to freak out. So we got, like, a turkey in our freezer already. There's, like, Christmas music on the radio. It's, like, 90 degrees outside, Chris. I don't know what's going on.
You were, like, completely living the opposite mindset that I have right now, because for me, it is like 40 degrees, rainy, and spitting some ice and snow out on me. But I don't have any holiday, things going in my head because for work I actually have to go to Texas this week. So I will actually be in a much warmer region. It's like 80s down there right now where I'm headed. It's supposed to cool down, but like I have the fall weather, but like my mindset is like, now I'm going somewhere hot. So I don't have any of that at all, which is crazy. So.
Well, I mean, speaking of Texas, I don't know if I've ever followed up on your grand burger quest, but when you came out here to the West Coast when we went to Comic-Con, you hit up some of the big ones out here. Are you getting Whataburger down in Texas?
Oh yeah, we made sure the town I'm going into for work has a Whataburger for sure, and we're going through Dallas, Fort Worth, and the airport has one. One of my favorite things is my wife's friends live in Texas, and they actually send us bottles of their spicy ketchup from Whataburger. So we keep a couple of those on hand year round in case I want that. But I hate to say this, Mike. Don't shoot me. Whataburger was my favorite one from that whole journey I had. If I'm going to be completely honest, nothing against In-N-Out, and then what do we get? Animal style right on the fries and everything. Like it's great, but like. You have to eat it right then. If you wait like 5 minutes, that meal's done.
Totally agree. And I guess another holiday thing that happened is a new Shake Shack opened up down the street from us. So we popped into there and we got some holiday milkshakes. So that's one thing that's kind of nice about Shake Shack. They do have like a kind of a rotating menu that changes throughout the year. So I've just had a boon of burgers over the last like couple weeks.
Well, that's good because I will tell you right now what you're going to miss out. White Castle has their 1912 slider. And
what is that?
It's essentially like it's got a slice of lettuce or a slice of tomato, lettuce, and it's like on an actual like meat patty, not like there's steamed squares kind of thing. So I'm like, I just saw this week on a billboard. I'm like, I need to try this.
Oh man!
So
White Castle's great. I don't care what people say.
Regional, yeah. Thankfully, I have a couple coworkers who were like, yeah, we like White Castle too. I'm like, great. So you're not going to judge me when we go get it for lunch one day. But anyway, regional burgers. Anyway, also McRib's back. If you're a McRib fan like myself, it is back in action. Most of our conversation. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I wish we had a segue into like Cowboy Bebop, but that's probably not gonna be until next week after we have watched it already, because Harold and Kumar go to White Castle.
Yep, that John show. I've been watching the animated Cowboy Bebop on like a little picture-in-picture on my Mac while I've been working on stuff this week. So I'm burning my way. I would say it's the first 4 episodes give you a vibe. It's not the first 3, Mike. Of that
Gotcha.
Show.
You know what? And I forgot. We were trying to think of things that we were watching this week before we were going to jump into the news. But there actually is one thing that I forgot that I was watching. There's this new animated series on Netflix called Arcane, which is, I guess,
the League of Legends.
League of Legends show. I know nothing about League of Legends. Literally, the only thing I know about it is it's a video game, and it's one of those video games that's kind of like top-down strategy, real-time. What are those called?
Well, that's a MOBA.
MOBA. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And so League of Legends is made by Blizzard, which is World of Warcraft characters, which is great because I will tell you one thing. Despite Blizzard's current lawsuits with the state of California, Mike, is actually they know how to build lore for their characters. Like no matter what you're playing, Overwatch
and
or
cinematics. There was a period of time where I was keeping up with the cinematics of the game that I've never played before on Warcraft because they always looked great.
Yeah, so I definitely know that they know how to build lore for their characters and build a world which these characters live. Yeah. And Arcane also actually dropped in Fortnite this week as well, or last week, as a character. So yeah.
I've only watched the first 2 episodes so far, and I was surprised to see that they're releasing weekly on Netflix, which is not that big of a deal. I almost prefer weekly at sometimes, but Netflix is kind of known for the drop and binge. But it's really good. Like the animation style is like beautiful. They're using like fully 3D modeled characters, but they're using like this really great kind of like brushed paint texture over all of it, so it just looks really painterly. It seems like if you take a screenshot at any given time, it almost looks like concept art, so it looks beautiful. So far the story is really engaging. I have no idea if it's following really anything within the video game or if they're just really expanding something, because it's like a competitive game, Chris, right? So It almost kind of like it would be the equivalent of like trying to build a story around like, I don't know, like Street Fighter or like Tekken or something like that. It's like, yeah, technically there's stories for individual characters, but there's really no arc except for like a tournament in those types of games.
Well, I think in the games like League of Legends and like Overwatch stuff, like the characters, like unlike Street Fighter where you die like Mortal Kombat, right? Stuff like that. Like in these, like you play like the characters are known to play multiple rounds. You're not really dead in those worlds. So it's more like this is their football league or their baseball league kind of thing, but it's a different method there. So and it is. I pulled up the fandom article, and it looks like it is set in the world of League of Legends, just maybe a different town.
Yeah, the world feels really rich. I believe arcane, the term, is what they are calling magic. That's kind of, even though they also use the term magic, I guess it's like swappable with the term arcane. It just, so far it's really engaging. So there are a couple points when you're watching an episode or two where they kind of highlight maybe a specific looking character or like maybe a sign or a rune or something, and you're like, oh, I think this is probably like an Easter egg for the game. I don't know it, but just based on the context clues that they're giving me around it, I feel like if I played the game, I'd get a little bit more out of it. But so far, everything's really, really fun. So I'm actually going to keep watching the show, which is surprising because I don't know a lick about League of Legends.
Well, it's good. That's always good. And I misspoke. The character's not Arcane. It's in coordination with Arcane. The character in Fortnite is Jinx, the blue-haired girl.
Oh, okay.
She's a playable character in Fortnite now. So that's my bad on that. So yeah, so a little bit of stuff this week. But let's go ahead and jump into our news here, because this is a big week for Ghostbusters fan, Mike. Finally, Ghostbusters Afterlife is dropping in theaters this weekend. It has been delayed, and delayed again. And then if you were lucky at Chicago Comic-Con earlier this year, they played the whole movie for everybody. So we get to dive into return to the original Ghostbusters universe and watch this movie pick up where it's left off. And I'm trying to go in as dark as possible, Mike. I don't want to know anything. I'm not watching any trailers. I've even tried to avoid toys in the stores. to not reveal this, but I'm very excited to watch this weekend.
Well, it's fun because they're in like this mid-November slot because we finally have movies that have been pushed to like almost normal release slots, right?
Yep.
You know, like a James Bond movie coming out in like October, like very strange. That doesn't usually happen, but like a mid-November, that is like a big movie slot. We've had Doctor Strange, Thor movies come out in those slots. So Ghostbusters, seeing how the pandemic goes, it's slotted for success, right? So
Yep.
we'll see what happens. I was reminded about the Ghostbusters fandom when I was scrolling through TikTok the other day, and there's a meme where you kind of show off your big kind of pop culture collection with a specific sound you put in the background, and somebody showed this grand display of this whole room covered in like Ghostbusters like collectibles, and I'm like, oh, this person is the one that's really freaking out about this movie for sure. So I know a lot of people are going to be really happy to see this.
We have a friend of the show, Adam, is a huge Ghostbusters fan. That's his niche, if you will. So
His bread and butter.
That's his go-to. He's a Ghostbuster guy. I don't know what their fandom's called. I guess they're just Ghostbusters. But he's into it, so he's offered if we need anyone to come on and talk about it. To clarify, it's because again, as we mentioned before, back when we did the review of the Ghostbusters 2016,
Ecto Cooler.
Well, Ecto Cooler mostly, and then they renamed the movie Answer the Call. We are not precious on anything but the drink of Ghostbusters, so I'd be more than happy to talk to him about this, and he's excited to watch it finally. He's got like 2 screenings planned for next weekend already, so
I feel like I do have a little bit of nostalgia for Ghostbusters, but it's confusing nostalgia because I feel like I was presented the movie when I was maybe 1 or 2 years too young, because it's like an adult comedy for the most part. There's like adult themes in there where
it's SNL alum, like alumni like doing that stuff.
So when like you're a kid, it gets like a little weird when you like there's not like a sex scene, but there's like a bedroom scene, right? And like you're watching it as a kid and you're like, this makes me feel like weird, not in like the pre-puberty way, not in that way, Chris, but it's just like, this seems kind of odd. But then later on there's ghosts and there's a gadget, so you're like, ooh, this is fun. So yeah, my nostalgia with Ghostbusters is kind of mixed, but I think that just happens to be with the age I was presented.
Yeah, and mine is interesting because mine's a Ghostbusters 2 like nostalgia, and it's not because I like Ghostbusters 2, it's because that was readily available on like every weekend like channel. Like you're always I feel like I was always watching Ghostbusters 2, and some people, it's not the better of the two, but I always remember the Statue of Liberty walking down the thing, and they're playing the music and stuff, and everyone's cheering him on in New York as usual. So I'm excited to watch this again. I assume the main actor is Paul Rudd, who I did not assume was Paul Rudd when we saw the first trailers.
Well, he's definitely the main marketable character. I don't think he'll be the main character per se. I think it'll be the kids.
I think the kids. Well, one of them is a Stranger Things kid, so he's got that going for him. So Ghostbusters will be next week, and we can go down that road. So yeah, stay tuned, and maybe we'll do a review, Mike. We haven't talked about it, but there's a lot of moving pieces going on with me being out of town and the holidays, but we'll see what we can do for that, folks. So we'll move along. Other big news this week is on Disney Plus. Shang-Chi is now available to everyone on their Disney Plus accounts. You don't have to do the premiere access. You're not have to do anything extra. It's all right there, Mike. That's pretty exciting, I think.
I think Jungle Cruise is the same way. I don't think we have that in our show notes, but yeah, those are the 2 things that dropped to celebrate the day of Plus. Did you know that you could get into the park early than everybody else if you had a Disney? Yeah, I saw like I saw a video where like they had like this gigantic blue carpet like in front of like the entrance to like downtown Disney. I don't know if it was just Disneyland or maybe also Disney World, but then when I thought about it just for 2 extra seconds, I was just like, I'm sure everybody that goes to Disney World already has a Disney Plus subscription, so I bet the whole VIP-ness of it wore off extremely quickly.
What you spend to go to Disney versus what you actually, the $6, $7 a month for Disney Plus is nowhere near that amount.
It almost seems like if you have one of those like year memberships for Disney, those insanely expensive things, they should just throw in Disney Plus for free almost. Like that's the consolation.
Wait, you're coming and buying buying our $30 churros. We have your money. We don't.
Yeah,
we don't need that.
$30 churros like half a year of Disney Plus, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, So this is the second year of Disney Plus. So Shang-Chi, this was like their 45-day window expired, I guess, and it's now in there. And then Jungle Cruise was this summer. Again, we talked about it a little bit. You didn't like it as much. I love that movie. But Shang-Chi, I think, was the big winner. But not only because we got regular Shang-Chi, it is the IMAX version of Shang-Chi as well. And you're like, Chris, how do you put an IMAX version on there? Well, literally, IMAX is just a taller frame than a regular movie. And if you check out our video, I've actually got a couple of Shang-Chi examples in there showing the different height ratios of what you would see in a normal cut versus the widescreen version and our IMAX enhanced version.
This is so funny. I mean, this is a cool addition. I feel like this should almost just be default everywhere, but I guess good for Disney Plus is realizing this is like a marketing opportunity, right? But people always forget that when you queue up a movie on your screen, you're almost always getting black bars at the top and bottom. But you block it out. Like mentally, it's just not a part of something that you retain when you watch the movie because, it's a widescreen experience. You get that. So you just forget that, there could be extra movie up there in those black bars. And that's kind of what this is, right?
Yeah. And honestly, it's not Disney for doing this. IMAX owns all the IMAX film rights. So like it is very, very hard and rare to find an IMAX version of a film streaming or even on disc. I think Wonder Woman 84 might have been one of the first ones that included IMAX as like the default option. Now, this doesn't mean you have to go get a special TV. You don't have to have anything fancy. You're just literally going to see less black bars on the top and bottom when you start playing this, which is great because you've got that TV real estate. You might as well use it, right? Yeah. And they did this with only 13 Marvel movies out the gate, which is even crazier. Like, because I know they have more movies that are IMAX ratio, but they did with 13 IMAX enhanced ones. And I will tell you, I'm going to go through this list here, Mike. And the first one blows my mind because they did not film this in IMAX. They filmed this on actual film, and that's Iron Man 1 from 2008.
Interesting.
So they actually use what's called a larger frame, like I think it's like a 35 millimeter frame or something like that, and use what's called buffer. So like, and then they crop it in editing to the or not 16:9, but whatever the theatrical ratio is, so they can actually pan and scan themselves across the frame to what they feel they need to. So
it's kind of what a lot of like digital filmmakers do, where it's like, oh, we film in like 8K or 4K, but then we crop like the HD rectangle out of it that we want to use.
Yeah, the sensors are truly the size of your TV, but like then they crop it down to the theatrical version because that's what they want you to see. So Iron Man, if you go and watch it, a lot of the desert scenes, I know this, the Jericho missile scene where he's like, you know, my favorite line is like, that's how Dad did it, that's how America does it, it's worked out pretty well. So that's actually an IMAX, but like the next scenes where he's back in, in the cave are shorter, and you can actually watch this on there because what's cool is the sand is so very lit up, you actually can see the frame size change in between all this. Because I went back and watched it with the IMAX version. Now, if you don't want to watch the IMAX versions, that's fine. The originals are still there. You just choose which version you want to watch when you select it. Very, very easy. So we're going to go on. All these other movies were shot very much well into the middle of the 2000s or 2010s. So all these make sense that they were shot with IMAX. So we have Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, Captain America Civil War. The Civil War scene on the airport's in IMAX, Mike. So I recommend you guys check that out. Civil War, Doctor Strange, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Endgame, Black Widow, and Shang-Chi. I assume when Eternals hits, it will also be in IMAX. But pretty much every movie from Guardians 1 on, 2 on, has been in IMAX. So I think that's really cool.
I have two thoughts on this now, especially since you said IMAX is the one that kind of retains all of these rights. It makes me think it's been a really bad year for IMAX, right? You know, how many people have been going to the movie theater to indulge in that premium ticket price? Not a lot. So I wonder if this kind of like maybe forced their hand, right? Like, oh, well, we could get a nice chunk of change from Disney if we let them stream these IMAX versions. So hopefully it's here to stay. I think it's a cool option to have, and it's like a good marketing gimmick too for a streaming service. service.
Yeah.
So that's great to have. Also, it just makes me curious, like for filmmaking in general, right? You know, if like the IMAX version is going to be something that becomes marketable, you know, maybe they won't call it, like maybe Netflix, right? They won't call it IMAX, but they'll call it like premium full frame or something, and you can only watch it if you have like the 4K version of like streaming Netflix, right? Because like you said before, like cameras can do it, right? Like the digital cameras are getting fancier and fancier and fancier. Like they're giving you more and more than what you need. I know there's some like not professional filmmakers, but there are some like video content creators out there that are using like full 360 cameras and not using it just to do, you know, like that. What's the Mario game where he jumps around from planet to planet? Galaxy, right? Like not just to do the Mario Galaxy effect where it looks like you're walking like, you know, on a little planet when you're going down your street, but it's just like, oh yeah, if I film what I'm doing with like a 360 camera, like I can just pull like a frame literally anywhere from the whole experience that I'm having. So yeah, I my big galaxy brain is thinking that this full frame is just another marketing tool that we'll see down the line.
Well, they're also competing with TV shows, right? Like TV quality, show quality has come up a long way from a long time. We have event television again. And, you know, IMAX, you know, event movies come out, you know, once a month. Event television's like 4 weeks long. And we get full frames on all television shows, right? They don't cut them to theater. So, like, why are we losing this ratio if it's already
exactly there? And that's a whole other thing. The line between like TV and movie is really starting to blur when you experience everything on a streaming service, right? So if somebody gets really used, like to you said, binging a TV show hours and hours where it fills up every pixel of their TV, and then they put on like Dune or something, and then they have those black bars at the top, they might be like, oh, okay, well I got to get used to this now, which it used to not be something that you had to get used to, but interesting. I wasn't expecting that we'd deep dive into IMAX so much, but you enlightened me, Chris, with some of your info.
It's funny. The last thing I'll add to this is whenever I was building my home theater, I was looking into IMAX things because IMAX before Disney Plus has very, very stringent pieces of equipment you have to buy to run their movies through their services. And the services they only run on is Sony's Bravia Core, which is only like 5 TVs, Rakuten TV, and a couple other Japanese, South Korean stores. So this is really huge to be available to everybody on an American streaming service, and again at no extra cost. So now let's hear. I think this is, like you said, this is the first step. We can do it. We can give it to people. We don't have to control our ecosystem as much because people want to watch it and we can get money from it, rather than like saying you have to buy this TV and this sound system and this receiver and this, you know, whatever. So it's really dumb that they've held it so close chest so far, but now I think this is going to open the world to people like, I want more IMAX stuff, give it to me, but I'm not buying your $2,000 you know projector for it, kind of thing. So, but anyway, that's a good list of movies, including Shang-Chi and Black Widow, which just came out this year. So that's good. You can check those out right now. Moving on, Mike, if I had a nickel for every time I've woken up this week or looked at my phone this week and you said, where is the Spider-Man trailer? I'd be rich. I'd be able to quit the podcast and make. It was just movie.
We have been going through turmoil the last couple weeks, right? Really trying to nail down the marketing sensibilities of Sony Pictures, right? We thought that they wanted to capitalize on putting it in front of the Eternals. No, that didn't happen. We thought, okay, maybe they want to get it out before Disney Plus Day. Like, no. Then there was a weird part of me, like, oh, maybe they'll put it out the day before Disney Plus Day to maybe try to synergize on some of that buzz, but now it's really starting to feel like they want the Disney Plus Day to wash over and be done and then swoop in.
Yep. Well, and in that case, you are in luck because as of yesterday, there is a special event in LA to watch this trailer at like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. or something like that. Like not even an online event. This is an in-person event on Tuesday to watch this trailer. That's how wild this has gotten.
Yeah, I hate everything about this, but also I hate it that it's so close. Like, it's in Sherman Oaks, California, which is like at a movie theater just down the street from where I live. This is actually a movie theater we used to go to quite a bit. It used to be called an ArcLight, but then those closed due to the pandemic, and then Regal came in and purchased them, so now it's a Regal theater. But yeah, I also have a Tuesday off of work too.
Yep.
So like I am free the whole day. I could theoretically go into this movie theater. You know, there'll probably be some sort of line, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'll have to put up with. But like, what am I about to do to watch a trailer and then
trailer.
quote unquote special guests or special appearances? There's something special touted with the trailer. So I made the joke the other day that everyone thinks it's going to be Tom Holland, but it's probably going to be Tony Revolori shows up to like talk about the trailer or something. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but this is what it's come to. They think their trailer is, and it's not even a premiere trailer, it's like the second trailer, right? We already know everything about this movie to begin with.
So this is funny because it a couple things have come true. This is literally 1 month before the it comes out in theaters. And what did I say when tickets would go on sale? 1 month before this. You have an opportunity to walk down and do it, but you don't have to. That's fine. But like literally, when does an in-person event beat the online plans for a trailer? Like what? Like something, a 3-minute clip that we can watch at home, right? Like that, very easily. Like this is unheard of right now. So
yeah,
my mind is completely blown.
Yeah, I don't know, like, there's a small part of my brain that I have to keep quieting that's saying, like, you got to go because they're going to show everybody the whole movie there. That's going to be the surprise. They're just going to click play and everyone's going to get to see it. But then I just keep thinking, there's no way they can keep all of those people under wraps for a whole month. Like, there's supposed to be tons of crazy shit happening in this movie that I'm sure they want to keep secret, and they're not just going to show a bunch of randos that stood in line the movie a month early.
Well, we're gonna jump ahead because there's too many spoilers out in the open for this movie right now. Like, too many spoilers. I don't know what we're gonna see in this. I don't know what we're gonna get. The expectations. From not just I think from us, we want a good movie, but like again, we have to judge this movie for what it is, not for what we think it should have. Like people have rumored this movie to goddamn death, and like if one thing doesn't happen that somebody rumored is might be riots, but it's still a Spider-Man movie, and I feel like they've worked their way up to this, and I'm very excited to watch it. But like there are spoilers already out in the open, and so avoid the internet, block those keywords, stay afloat. But like I don't think they're gonna show the whole movie, but like I want this to be online, like that day, like so. Like hopefully, if you did go and you watch this, you come home, we could literally talk about it real quick, like we did with Morbius. Because I'd much rather talk about Spider-Man with you for 20 minutes than Morbius for 5. If I was honest for you, but the hype levels are high. They also released a new poster this week. We talked about this. Literally, I think it was like we recorded last week, and like it'll be out at midnight, and like 11 o'clock it dropped, like from last week. So
yeah.
And what did they add? What little thing did they add to this trailer to make?
Yeah,
poster?
The poster basically seems to be all but confirming the existence of 4 villains. Like there was a lot of freeze framing that you had to do and interpretations of the last trailer, but they definitely are leaning to an Electro and a Sandman, a Goblin, and an Octopus.
Yes, and we actually get the physical Goblin in this. Everyone's like, "Oh, I found him!" He's not hiding. The Goblin is not hiding in this trailer. So stop with the zoom ins.
One thing that I have seen the crazy zoom ins of like where they take that other poster that's been seen like on the side of a bus. It's a very similar poster, but they're like, oh, if you look at this one shadow in the background, it kind of makes out these jagged edges that could be a vulture possibly, and it's just like, okay, I think you're looking into that one a little bit too much. But yeah, like you said, everything and anything has been rumored. So it almost seems like an accidental strategy to obfuscate like what's going to be in the movie, right? If you throw everything out there and nobody knows what's actually going to be in it.
Right. And then if Marvel has any inclination about this, they will lie to us. They will lie to us and lie to us and lie to us. Even the last Spider-Man trailer for No Way Home had that whole scene where he was in the Iron Spider suit, right? In that Italian diner they cut from the movie. So I don't think they'll cut anything from the movie here, but like I could see them easily being like, we shot this stuff, we're not going to use it. Go ahead and use it in the trailer. Like lead people down a trail so we can still surprise them a little bit. But like the hype for this is so high, but we do have confirmation. I guarantee you tickets will be on sale and a trailer will be available for everyone this week, Mike. But this online event, if you go, do let me know. If you don't go, I totally understand. But this is definitely something we will be talking about next week at the latest on the show, I believe. So buckle up, buckaroos. But and all of Mike's questioning, hey, did we get Spider-Man this week? I've been messing with them because the Avengers game gave us their Spider-Man trailer this week instead. So I don't. You got to watch that earlier, right? This week, Mike, the trailer.
Yeah, I'm flicking through it right now to remind myself.
I can't pin the voice yet. They've not revealed the voice actor. That'll be later this week because he drops November 30th on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 for free as a character, and they're doing what's called, I think it's like a hero event. So he doesn't have campaign level missions like Hawkeye and Black Panther did, because technically he's only on one system and not the others. But I would love for them to drop more characters like every 6 weeks like this. Like, we don't need a whole storyline. We can just drop characters. But it looks to be a traditional Spider-Man kind of character. There's nothing really revealed here. I'd love to see his actual gameplay combat. I don't know if we had gameplay. I put gameplay in here. I don't think there's any gameplay. But it looks pretty good, Mike. I don't know how you feel about it, but I think Spider-Man looks
it's so good. Funny seeing like a quote unquote a payoff so late, right? Like when this game was announced, they were like, oh, you can only get Spider-Man if you get the PlayStation version, and some people were hemming and hawing and complaining about that. But it's so funny that it didn't come to fruition until is this like 2 years later, a year and a half later?
No, it's only 1 year. It's 1 year event was last month.
Yeah, it just seems so long, right?
Yeah.
And then also not a lot of people. This game really isn't super buzzworthy anymore. So I haven't heard a lot of people talking about Spider-Man and Avengers.
It's interesting because it's on Game Pass Ultimate, so the number of players has like tripled, I think is what they said. Like a third party people, but like Spider-Man's only on Sony, so I think like maybe they plan that out to alternate the player base. They are adding something else. We talked about this off air. Like they're revamping the core system, how you can get more costumes, so on and so forth. But one of the other things they're doing is adding you can join missions in progress, which was something that they didn't have at launch, which is fine. But like now you have two consoles generations that can play together, so they're gonna have a join in session later, which I think will be really really fun. So I'm excited to play Spider-Man. I mean, that's the only reason I got it for PlayStation. And to see how he looks and how he plays. I want to see the gameplay because your big question has always been, how is his web swinging, right? Like, what is his web swinging like? So I want to see what that looks like in play here in this in this world.
Report back. Let us know.
I will. I almost fired up Miles Morales earlier when I turned on my PlayStation. I was like, oh, do I want to? They're like, I need to copy my save file over from the other one so I don't have to replay the whole game from the start because there's a lot there. Sticking in Sony's world, Spider-Woman is apparently rumored to take place in the MCU as part of the Sony deal with Marvel. Spider-Woman, we believe, is in works by Olivia Wilde, who's working on it. So we've not heard anything from Marvel proper. However, they do take a while to work on their films a little bit. So if Spider-Woman gets more announcements later, it will be in the MCU as the rumor here, which...
Yeah. Well, also, who knows what the Spider Person universe is going to look like, right? After all of this multiversal madness. So we'll see how it goes. Because plus now we have like the villain universe, which is getting folded over. So we'll figure out if there's going to be one universe or not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we got to wait for Spider-Man to end and Doctor Strange to get here, which I'm glad they're back to back. That's nice. But even if the Spider-Woman has a history with S.H.I.E.L.D. and she has a history with the Skrulls, which are both, S.H.I.E.L.D. was in the MCU and the Skrulls are coming up more prevalent in the MCU, so I'd be excited to see kind of how they tie her into this. In other news for Marvel, the Guardians of the Galaxy has started filming for Volume 3, and with that we have a crew photo here of everyone. Kind of looks like a Polaroid picture, doesn't it? A little bit like the way it's kind of been done. So the biggest news here, again, Will Poulter is going to be Adam Warlock, but actor, I'm going to butcher this guy's name, Chukwudi Iwuji. He's in the upcoming what's that? The DC show. The DC show he's doing.
Peacemaker.
He's in Peacemaker as like the leader of that group. He was in the trailer. He's in an unknown role in this, but apparently it was a very sought after role. I don't know who that would be at all. Based on what little bit we know of Guardians 3.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what sought after means, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure every actor in Hollywood wants to be in James Gunn's next Guardians movie, even if you're playing like a trash can or something like that. Anything and that's going to be sought after. So
Yeah, even Sylvester Stallone's coming back, and he was a side role in too. Now, I do have a theory here, and you may not know this character, but what if he is the character, the High Evolutionary?
I don't know what the hell that is.
So he's the creator of Rocket. Essentially, he experiments on things, tries to push evolution. So if he is the High Evolutionary, so he's like one of Rocket's creators, and they're going to delve into Rocket's past a little bit in this, which would be interesting. But also tying into Adam Warlock, who's supposedly the perfect being, right? Like that kind of fits into the storyline with what little bit we know so far, but.
Yeah, I mean that does make sense. I'm trying to remember, was it in Volume 1 or Volume 2 where Rocket had that really emotional moment about like his creation? I want to say that was the first one.
The first one, I believe that's when they're drunk in nowhere. He's like, being like ripped apart, stuff like that. The High Evolutionary, he's very much, to me, he looks like a Fuchsia Kang a little bit. He's got very much a
I just looked him up. Yeah. Also, he's kind of got it seems to be a mask, if you will, or some sort of like way to hide his face. So like, you could really put any actor underneath that, and you don't have to worry about like casting for like a specific look, really. Yeah,
exactly. So it could easily be that he could be anybody else, like you said, anyone in the Guardians games. Could be there. Maybe he's the voice of Cosmo the space dog, who's going to get a bigger role in 3 than he had in 2. Probably not. But I have been playing Guardians game, so I had that. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, also like Rocket, he is like kind of like the least, I would say, developed character backstory wise, right? Everyone else has kind of had like, an origin, if you will, or we've seen
reason to be there, kind of.
Yeah, Rocket is like, I love the character, so I would, I'm really looking forward to seeing more from him.
Yeah, and I think him and Groot probably, but Groot, I don't think we need a lot of his stuff, but like, I think be interesting to have that in there and do this. So Guardians 3 filming, we'll hopefully see it shortly. At the top of the show, we mentioned Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is currently going through a bunch, apparently, of major reshoots. Now, every film goes through reshoots. We have to iterate this. That doesn't mean it's bad or anything was awful. Every film is baked into it. What this could mean is maybe some early leaks about this, which I happened upon, are true, and Feige's again, his Feige hammer is coming down and saying, hey, change this so we can surprise people next May. They've got extra time to retool. I don't know what this means at all. It's also probably a very FX heavy film with a lot of magic going on between Wanda and him. So what does this mean? I don't know, but it is currently filming all the way through December to get some footage done, which is
I wonder if maybe if the Doctor Strange movie was the reason that they had to shift a lot of titles around, right? That's what Feige has said officially, that the reason they had to shift the slate, basically everything up one slot, was due to production. And maybe the Doctor Strange movie was the reason. There could be a million reasons for that, right? And luckily, so far, the MCU / Kevin Feige has given us overwhelmingly positive content for the most part, right?
Yeah.
So we can only assume that we'll get good things out of this. If it was a different universe or like a different director or something like that, we might be, really worried. But so far they have the goodwill to not worry us so much.
There is such a stacked cast of actors in this, right? We love Doctor Strange in this universe, especially after his stuff in Infinity War, and then Sam Raimi returning to the Marvel, or a Marvel character after Spider-Man 3 and everybody involved. I think there's a lot of really good things here lining up for this. I'm very excited to see how it goes.
But I mean, I feel like if we get like one more bit of like quote unquote bad news, expect really annoying headlines, because it already started off rough, right? What was it, Scott Derrickson? Is that Derrickson, right? That was the original director that dropped out, I think, due to creative differences, right? And then they had to bring in a ringer. They had to bring in a ringer, so
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a little bit on troubled ground, but fortunately enough for all of the producers involved, they can always like point to COVID, right?
Yeah.
You know, whether that is the straw man or not, of like, oh no, it's COVID slowed everything down, got everything all mushy, so. They got that to lean into for now.
I honestly, even if Scott Derrickson was there or not, like I think this movie has success regardless. But I'm excited to see Sam Raimi's horror elements kind of come back to it a little bit. And as much as I don't like Danny Elfman's scores, he is returning as well. So with
you're going to be in the minority there. The internet loves Danny Elfman.
Yeah, well, I mean, go listen to some Oingo Boingo from the 80s and tell me what you think. But anyway, and what was that? Well, now I'm thinking Family Guy. Is that where they killed John Williams? Like, oh no, now we have to finish the movie with Danny Elfman, and then he just cuts him in half with a lightsaber. It's pretty funny. Anyway, Doctor Strange doing more reshoots, which is fine. They always schedule reshoots. This is an emergency. It's not burning down, but we'll see. We probably will never know what changed until like they make a hardcover book like 3 years after the fact, but we'll see. All right, Disney Plus Day, Mike. A whole morning, not even a day, dedicated to Disney Plus, and only if you were on Twitter. Which is crazy. I can't believe this is how they did it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, let's talk about this like a bigger scale, just like overall. I think the whole thing was a bit of a letdown for me for a couple reasons. First of all, I think most people were comparing this to a similar day that we had last year, right? And last year was amazing. Not only did we get announcement from like all quadrants of Disney Plus, like full stacked Star Wars announcements, like Marvel announcements, like Pixar announcements. We had like tons of footage, even with some of the footage being blocked off because, we were just normies that weren't investors, so we didn't get a chance to see some of the more salacious clips, right? But now this was touted as an event for everybody. It was a whole day that we were branding for it. But like the day before, me and you were both kind of looking into it like, how do we watch this? Where is it? What time does it start? And then I think we were both kind of surprised that it started like in the morning, like 9 East Coast
Eastern,
which is crazy because usually when you're marketing something, you at least wait hence look at like Apple days, right? When they're announcing new products, they usually wait until like 10 a.m. West Coast time, so the entire country is awake and you can kind of get all of your like media exposure happening at once. But like when I woke up, the Pixar stuff was already done, right? And I had to like kind of catch up.
You barely got to Marvel. To Marvel.
I barely got to Marvel in time. And then I was sad to see that it basically was all happening on a Twitter thread, right? Like, I'm sure their social media team worked extremely hard because so many tweets came out that day. They had to have all of this language like pre-approved, all of these assets and art ready. But really, the footage didn't even land on Disney Plus's account, at least that day. And I went back and I looked at the Disney Plus account just a few hours ago, and the footage isn't even there.
Yeah,
if you want to look the footage, you have to go on the Disney Plus app, and they collected these kind of like 2021 little tiles where they kind of put this stuff together. So like even the footage wasn't really super easy to disseminate, across the Twitter sphere. So like overall, the day was a bit of a bust for me. Like I was expecting like a 10, and I think I got like a 4.
Well, I think the thing is, like, I agree with you. What we got last year was fantastic, and that was movies and TV. So, like, even if we got, 3/4 of the quality of stuff we got last year, it still would have been a success, right? Because it was just Disney Plus. But they didn't even temper expectations. They didn't tell us what to expect. They didn't tell us when to expect it. It literally just happened, and we just had to figure it out along the way. And, and while it's fine that they did it this way, like you said, it's a lot of work, a lot of coordination, a lot of timing, right, across everything. They didn't even tell us that. Like, if they were just like, hey, we're going to do this online, thing on Twitter, get ready for it, here's where it is, here's when it starts, would have been way better, but we had nothing. I think even after the evening before, we couldn't log into our Disney Plus accounts on web browsers. Remember, like, it was down, like, we couldn't get in. Like, what was going on? Yeah,
because they had a special landing page, and we were trying to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
And like also, unfortunately, like a lot of the Marvel announcements that we'll be talking about felt like I was on repeat from last year. Like we're getting slightly different logos. And it was almost like, oh, guess what? Announced, like, here it is. Moon Knight is coming. It's like, we already knew Moon Knight was coming. We knew all this. There was nothing really new announced necessarily, and then almost like radio silence from the Star Wars side of things, right? Like we got.
It was hard. That was the hardest to find.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Obi-Wan, but that part of the day was done before the West Coast was even awake.
I will say I'm going to disagree. I think Marvel had some new announcements, just not enough detail that you could put in a single image on Twitter.
I guess they had like really two from our point of view. From people that make a superhero show where we're up to date with everything, I would say, two new things that I didn't really know was going to be happening. Yeah. So, but overall, that's not enough to get me excited, I guess.
I'm going to go with, I'll give it 2.5, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's go ahead and jump into it. First and foremost, so by the time Marvel was done, they did everything, and then they gave us a link to a 14-minute video, which had 2 minutes of footage. We determined at the end of new footage. So it went through, hey, here's WandaVision, here's Falcon Winter Soldier, here's Loki, here's What If, here's a very extended scene from Hawkeye, which didn't put in the notes, but I actually really enjoyed that scene because it's a single take, most of it, from a car, which was really cool. I applaud them for that, and then also confirmation that Hawkeye is at least partially deaf for some of this, because he couldn't hear what was going on. So that was cool, but then we get into the new stuff. So the first one, we actually got a little bit of footage of Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight. And one thing that I did forget, I like the accent he's portraying to the character. It just seems different. It's not something I've heard from Oscar Isaac before, so it was pretty exciting. And he's got different personalities, so each one probably has a different accent. But what was cool, there was one shot in this, I think the most, he sees a reflection in a glass, and he walks off screen, and his reflections, their gaze follows him, so it shows how this is all in his head. He's a little crazy. That's really unhinged. And then there's an unhinged scene where the Moon Knight costume is literally beating somebody up in a looks like maybe a diner or a restaurant or something.
Well, it's I'm looking at it. It seems to be a bathroom. I see mirrors on both sides.
Okay.
And we did have that leak months ago where we got to see the costume, and I believe the background was a bathroom. So this is the other part of that scene.
The other side. Yeah, and so I think what's cool about this one is it's dark. It looks it looks crazy. Oscar Isaac is again a great actor, so I'm very excited to see how versatile he does with Moon Knight, Mark Spector, and this whole thing. Now, did we get any story-related things? Not at all. We didn't even see Ethan Hawke in this. No sign of Mahershala Ali as Blade.
We got a full 35 seconds of Moon Knight.
That's
very exciting.
So, no date, but it was the first one they announced, so I think it's coming first. If I was to pull anything out of this, Mike, I think that's coming first, because I'm going to guess the order of these or the order they have for release, if you want to make any assumptions. Next up was She-Hulk. So She-Hulk gave us a clip. We actually see a little bit of Jennifer Walters. I won't say Jessica Walters, but somebody else in her human form. And then we get a very, very much a tease of her in what looks to be like an Avengers suit in green body paint and long black hair. She gets taller. She's much taller in that form, right? Is it a different person, or is it CG, you think?
I mean, I feel like I've watched this scene a couple of times because it's the only little glimpse that you can get of her character, which is a couple shots of basically her torso. And it looks CG to me for sure. I mean, in a good way, with big Marvel budget CG. But I don't think we're just getting green paint. And also, I don't know if they would go full Gamora style, right, for a TV show of we're going to paint her every single episode. I think they're going to stick to
And she's not that tall as an actress, which is interesting because you see her with Mark Ruffalo in his human form later, and then his Professor Hulk thing at another thing. The end scene is very interesting.
She looks like a child, because that scene you're talking about where she's in a test chamber, and Hulk Ruffalo, whatever
Smart
you want
Hulk.
to call him. Heart Hulk.
Professor Hulk.
She just looks like a little kid. I almost thought it was a different character until I had to realize, oh no, the Hulk is giant, and she is Tatiana Maslany, the actress.
So what's interesting about this, so there's some theories here that this may be set during the blip period, because Hulk is still Smart Hulk and he doesn't have his arm in a sling. So this might be the first show that delves into life in the MCU during the 5 years between the finger snaps.
I mean, I suppose it would be logical to assume that you would need a lawyer at some point in time when it comes to blip related matters, right? I think, am I making this up, Or did I remember a character at some point in time saying like, "Oh, I came back and somebody else was living in my house"?
Yeah, that was like I think in the beginning of Infinity War or Spider-Man,
right?
Spider-Man. Yeah.
Oh, was it Spider-Man? Okay. Yeah. So I suppose a lawyer would be needed, right, to get your house back.
Well, and then if she got, if she's working with, the Smart Hulk during that time, maybe her original iteration, she gets a blood transfusion from Bruce Banner, which gives her Hulk powers. It could have happened during that time, and she's kind of just been under the radar since. So I don't know when it takes place, but there is like a very VHS grainy look at the end on that look with her there, which is very interesting with Mark Ruffalo. So the other thing,
everybody's saying like this is kind of her moment of her character, kind of like breaking the fourth wall. So I don't know if they're going to do like cutaways, right? Like, thinking of like Family Guy that cuts away to gags and stuff like that. That's something that even like Deadpool doesn't do in his films, right? He will break the fourth wall, but I don't really remember cutaway gags necessarily, unless they were like cutting away to a different portion of that scene, like spinning the camera around to like the corner of the room. But this would be definitely a cutaway. I can't imagine in what literal sense that her and her cousin would need to record like a grainy commercial, right?
Well, here's the thing. What if this is her doing a law commercial before they were both Hulks? Like, Mark Ruffalo looks a little younger in that photo. Like, or like, maybe he is an Avenger, but he's not in Hulk form, and like she's using that as a reason to use her as a
maybe,
lawyer.
but like, why would they be dressed like that, right?
Well,
this would be like
this
look is like 20 to 30 years in the past,
right?
Like,
but it's like an amateur lawyer commercial. I mean, lawyer commercials are the worst. Have you ever watched one on TV? Like they don't splurge for that kind of stuff. So I feel
now like
it looks like like a cheap commercial someone's making.
Yeah, I do have a feeling that since Disney Plus Day gave us very little to talk about footage-wise, we are stuck to talk about the things that they gave us. And I do have the feeling that this probably is just going to be like a one-off joke. Like, oh, remember that time we made that commercial and that dude said that he was going to give us something big budget and then we got this? So, yeah, it could just be a one-off joke. But either way, it's funny to see Ruffalo and like... a little poofy curly hair.
He is all over the place. He's Smart Hulk. He's regular Banner. He's all over the place. Now, I do want to talk about one thing, because you did mention to me you don't like the new She-Hulk logo. Now, unprovoked, I had 3 people say, I really like the new She-Hulk logo. So I'm like, this is really interesting, like to hear the sides of both of it, because I'm like, the first one's comic is literally the original was taken from the comic book cover pages, and this new one is it kind of like it looks like Nip Tuck, if I was going to be honest.
It's exactly what I thought too. It also just looks like it would be in a lineup of like CBS dramas, right? Like, oh, Law and Order, and then She-Hulk, and then Law and Order SVU, or whatever other offshoot they have. The only interesting bit of this specific design, which I saw somebody talk about on Twitter, is that it has that look of She/Hulk. So, and that's kind of what people have been doing recently in the last couple years when they're showing support for the trans community, of listing your pronouns on the internet. And this is almost kind of like not like a funny take, but like an interesting take of, oh, her pronouns are She/Hulk. So I like that idea of what that logo, but yeah, it does look like just like medical drama to me, right? When I see the logo.
It's an Nip Tuck, and it's got the city skyline with the green. So again, none of these are really finalized till they're done anyway, and we see footage. But it is an evolution from the other one.
Also, like from a graphic designer's point of view, even somebody that would put a lot of work into something like this, relatively low stakes at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Nobody cares what the logo is after they start watching the show, which is really degrading the type of work that I do. But I mean, I guess I'm allowed to, because that's what I'm doing. But no one's gonna care about the logo once you start watching it every week.
And then, as a comic book reader, I'm at least glad they're not ripping off the comic book logos and saying, "Well, here's your logo." I'm like, you've been using that in the comic books. Like, you're gonna confuse people. Mm-hmm. So it goes both ways. But speaking of confusing people, on to the next topic, Miss Marvel. We don't know if she has stretchy powers. We don't know if she has crystal powers. All we know is that they said her show specifically is Q4 for Disney, which is between July and September of next year. Meaning, I think Moon Knight will be first, She-Hulk is second, Miss Marvel will be third, and some of the discourse has been, if those crystal leaks right, they have time to change that to stretchy powers. However, I don't think they're going to change it to stretchy powers, Mike. I think they're going to leave her as is.
I mean, the two takeaways that I have from this trailer, because like we've said before, this is just like a couple seconds of footage, just like everything else. There is kind of like this shot here that we have linked to in our show notes where there's some sort of like force that's being pushed through her, and like visually it kind of looks like maybe multiversal, like kind of visual language that we've kind of been seeing. So like maybe she's getting powers or something through like the multiverse colliding. I'm just not 100% sure what we're looking at here.
They've said her powers are Kree focused. That's why she will be in the Marvels movie. But that's also why I'm like, if she's in the Marvels movie, they're not going to rewrite a movie based on her power change in a TV show. To me, her abilities look very akin to when Captain Marvel gets her Tesseract powers early on in the Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel movie, right? Like, does that not look like when she's absorbing the energy from the Tesseract when it explodes?
Yeah, maybe. Actually, the one thing that, like, I don't know if this would necessarily be an improvement. At the end of the day, I want her to have stretchy powers because I just think that's fun and, like, visually more interesting than some sort of, like, crystal gauntlet, right? But in the comic books, like, okay, I get it that any, like, you know, that any character / child can like any superhero that they want, because superheroes are bountiful and they're all over the place and you could fall in love with them for really any reason. But there really is no specific reason that like Miss Marvel is a fan of Captain Marvel necessarily in the comic books. Like, oh, it's just a superhero that she looks up to. Yeah, I suppose you could glean some sort of personality traits that you might like, but there's no real like one-to-one connection. So in the TV show, that is something that they could add, right? It could be like a literal reason that they connect with each other, because we know they're going to share a movie together. Oh, I'm Captain Marvel. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to like mentor you because like what happened to me is literally happening to you from the same source. So that could be an advantage there story-wise where you get to connect them together. But there is a brief shot that we saw that I haven't gone back and looked at, so maybe I need to look at it again. And I think it's at the very end,
which is like
where you see like there's like a there's like a reflection like in like a skyscraper where she's just kind of almost a floating object, almost like it's a drone though, like not like a flying or like a swooshing. It's just like a weird, like almost like UFO of a person in a reflection. I'm like, what is that? What am I watching right now? So I don't know. A lot of unanswered questions with this.
There's no details in that shot because I went back and looked. But it looks to me, what little bit I can glean is it looks like she is stretched or using her stretchy crystal powers to walk, like make her like start to walk across the city faster, if you will.
I don't know.
So that's what it looked like to me. It's like a tall person walking with her legs. Now I will say in the Avengers game, when you're playing as Kamala and she embiggens, there is like a little glowy effect around her when she uses her embiggening powers, polymorph powers. It's not just stretch. It's not. She's not Mr. Fantastic, but so maybe it's that. But I mean, literally what we can get out of this phase 2 of Disney Plus TV shows is literally nothing. We got nothing out of this, just footage that we didn't have before, but not enough footage to actually make a call either way, and that's very disappointing. But now we're going to get into stuff we have even less for, Mike. I think that the first non-surprising thing is literally What If Season 2 is happening, right? Like, does that? Yeah,
we all already knew that, right? There's a whole episode on the cutting room floor from season 1. Yeah, that's the reason why we knew that there's going to be a season 2.
And it ended kind of on a cliffhanger for Captain Carter, so we'll see that. The this is something we expected but did not get announced late, is the Echo TV show, right? This is not one of when we talk about 4 new things, this is not one of the 4 things we talked about giving 2.5. So Echo is a character that will be in Hawkeye, and she is getting her own TV series, which we've heard about rumors about for weeks or months at this point. So someone asked me, who is Echo? What does she do? I'm like, I don't know. We'll have to meet her in Hawkeye before I can make any calls on this. So she's in the Hawkeye teaser in a couple shots, but other than that, I don't know much.
I hope it's an organic spinoff, right? Because I feel like the Hawkeye show is already doing a lot of legwork, right? You know, it's handing over the mantle to Haley Steinfeld, right? And we're gonna possibly be seeing Black Widow's sister. I always forget Florence Pugh. She's possibly going to be in there. And we got to introduce Echo as well for her own series. So and they're pitching the show because we did get to see like a little bit of a trailer, a longer look at it. It still seems to really feel like it's going to take place over maybe a week or two, right? Or even just a couple of days, a short time period.
He's going to be home in time for Christmas, man.
Yeah, he's entertaining his family in the city, so it's just like it sounds like they're going to pack a lot into the show. So hopefully it goes off pretty well.
Yeah. But it looks like it'll be kind of some payoff from when he was Ronin during the blip era. So we'll see that. This had been rumored about forever, but not confirmed until this week, is a continuation of the X-Men animated TV series. So this,
they better bring that song. If they don't bring that song, like I want them to re-record it in like high lossless definition. Give me like an extra like a minute, like do like make like an extended version, and then pay some sort of like Japanese studio just an ungodly amount of money to like remake like just a baller like intro and just like make the craziest like minute and a half ever.
Yeah.
And then I don't care what's in the episode as long as that intro is tight.
Exactly. So this is the anime continuation of the X-Men animated show, which is on Disney Plus, by the way. Some of the original cast is returning. Some there are new voice actors as well. Not everyone is returning. I think the only one I saw for sure is like the actress of Jubilee isn't coming back, or something like that.
Is Morph coming back? Was Morph canonically dead in the '90s show? I don't remember.
I don't know
if he came back.
I don't know if he came back either.
He had such a weird voice, right? Like he had the voice like a human would never make. So like I always remembered his like nasaliness.
Yeah. But this is being written, head writers Bo DeMeo, who's wrote the Witcher series. So he is taking over here, which is really cool. So I'm excited to see kind of more of this. I'm looking to see for Morph actually if he was even.
Yeah. It's an interesting challenge, right, to bring back X-Men '97. Because what is it that the nostalgia, what is it that people want to see, right?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, I think people want to see the visual art style return. It's such a nostalgic look for the characters that I think if you got the look right, you know, you're halfway there, right? Or at least I would say 2/3 there. So the other third, right, is like, what stories are you going to tell?
What's left?
And I think, I think what you do is just you do classic X-Men adaptations, right? Like that's kind of what the animated series was really good at, right? Like they didn't try to reinvent the wheel. They're just like, I don't know what comic book stories do you like? Let's just tell those. So just adapt the comic books.
So the problem with that is they've already adapted a lot of the classics already. So I think, but there's like 25 years of new X-Men stories they could adapt and kind of tell along the way. And Morph did live, by the way. He was seen in the last shot in the finale, so he's still X-Men. So there you go, Mike.
It's funny because I think everybody from the 90s is such a huge fan of the series, but I've never been a completionist of it. Like I've seen like a decent chunk of it, but much like all cartoons back in the 90s, they were not aired in like a sensical or in a sensible way, right? Like you'd get like maybe like the first like 8 episodes on repeat for half of a year, and then you wouldn't think there'd be any more. Then all of a sudden they'd start airing them again with no pomp and circumstance. And like
the new ones,
if you had a TV Guide subscription, like maybe you got a little bit more information.
Well, the new ones were on Saturdays, but then like there were reruns during the week, and they were all out of order on Fox Kids.
Yeah.
So I've seen so many times. I don't know where they take place even.
Yeah, and then they were kind of doing something interesting. I think before maybe some of the Justice League cartoons came in and started doing this, where they were telling like little mini arcs, right? Where you would get a couple episodes in a row that would be connected, but then they wouldn't be connected with other ones later down the line. So it was just all over the place. So either way, I don't think you're going to have to be like a completionist of the original series to jump into the 97.
If you want to. It's all on Disney Plus though, so you can check it out. It doesn't hold. I'm going to be honest. It doesn't hold up. I tried to watch it. Last year. It's not good. I like thinking of it in rose-tinted glasses because some of those voice acting, some of that animation isn't as good as you think it is now. So if you want to be just be careful with it when you get back in. I
think people just really liked it because it felt like a mature cartoon, right?
Yeah.
The
people
Japanese
populate.
Yeah, like the Japanese population was like getting this stuff all the time. They were used to like cartoons with stakes. This was almost like the first Western cartoon that we had where there were stakes involved. And then anime came in and like much like myself, everybody fell in love with the stakes and long-term stories of like anime. So
and this aired in tandem with this animated Spider-Man show, which everybody loves as well as watch. So there is that. speaking of animated Spider-Man, we didn't get a continuation of the Spider-Man animated stuff, but we're getting a brand new animated Spider-Man show called Spider-Man Freshman Year, and this is officially a take on Tom Holland's Spider-Man before we catch up with him in Civil War. So there might be an Uncle Ben. We might see him actually get how his powers got, he got his powers. I don't know, but like this is an animated show that will tell us early stuff about how Spider-Man lived. So
I think this is cool. I think this is really cool because everybody was tired of seeing the origins of Spider-Man on a featured movie. It almost just felt like you were taking up too much time, but this seems like a good way to kind of go back and explore it in an episodic take. I hope they get the voice actor from the What If series, because that guy sounded a hell of a lot like Tom Holland, right? I feel like it really worked. One thing that was cool about this, like since this is like almost officially licensed like MCU content, the showrunner popped up in my timeline because a lot of people in the animation community was really excited for him. He was like a writer on like a bunch of stuff, like Cartoon Network things like Craig of the Creek, The Owl House, a lot of like prestige, like Disney kids cartoons that people are really into. So this is like a big promotion, right? To go from kind of, making these critically acclaimed kids cartoons, but now show running like something within the MCU. Like that's a big promotion for that person. So I'm looking forward to see what they do with this show.
And while the official logo doesn't have, I did see someone else share a logo that has like the Peter Parker in it, and it looks very much like a comic booky Peter Parker. So hopefully this is like a 20-minute episode. It does not the What If animation is all I'm trying to say. Like Marvel animation is going down, like we are doing different styles based on the story. Yeah. So
now to get within the weeds of it, I am really curious, what are the legal rights of this story, right? This is a series set within the MCU, but is Sony involved at all? Do they have to give Sony any lick of money, right? Because this is not a cinematic interpretation of the Spider-Man character.
They do not. So again, previously, this may be part of a deal because it's a little different, but any Spider-Man TV show is not owned, operated, or maintained by Sony. That's why like the new stuff, but like you mentioned, like this is going backwards based on Sony stuff.
So this is I feel like this is almost like a bit of like a tool of leverage for Marvel, right? It's just like, hey, Sony, look at what we're doing here. We have a whole platform, a juggernaut known as Disney Plus, where we can usurp your whole lawyer crew over there, right? So like maybe start to play ball a little bit more.
And I think,
I have no sympathy for corporations overall, but it's just funny watching the little machinations happen.
Well, and I don't think there's any right now bad blood. I don't think there's anything bad between everybody. So that's always a plus with that kind of going on. But yeah, I think there's some opportunity here to be like, hey, you shouldn't give your Spider-Man library to Netflix. Let's bring them to Disney Plus and have all the MCU here. Next up is I Am Groot. We already knew about this, but just confirmation is Baby Groot. Everyone was like, is it Teen Groot? Is it Adult Groot? Is Baby Groot? So I don't think this will have any, impact on the MCU at large. Probably it's probably just fun little shorts.
So I guess it's just
I wonder if this is going to be but Groot.
Yeah, we said we were going to talk about that at the top of the show, but I guess I didn't realize the shorts were going to be so short. It was like I think they are listed as like 5 minutes long, but then when the opening credits and the end credits, there's like barely anything. And then PSA, if you want to watch them all,
go to the bottom one.
Scroll to the last episode because it's just a compilation of all of them.
That's what we did. We went to the bottom and I'm like, oh, it's 11 minutes. This is all of them. Great. Because Olaf presents so in Frozen 2, he tells the story of Frozen 1, and at the end of it, he tells the story of Frozen. And it's really funny. Josh Gad does great. So he does these 5 Disney classics, and
there's like Aladdin, Tangled, Moana, Little Mermaid, and another one I'm not thinking of.
Lion King.
My head. Lion King.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
I wouldn't be surprised if these Groot shorts are short, like just little tiny.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't be. I feel like the same vein as that. But like maybe he's Groot retelling Marvel stories. Like these are movies from the MCU, but they're Groot. I would watch that. That'd be funny. Not a new thing, but a new logo is Ironheart. It's literally a heart made out of iron on this logo. So,
yeah, if there was anything to interpret from this, is maybe a bit of a homegrown built suit, right?
Yep.
like
I think
maybe
that's what they said. Yeah.
I don't think she's gonna get trapped in a cave necessarily and have to build a robot from scraps. But looks like scraps may be involved.
Yeah, something will be for sure. Definitely not clean. This is the biggest surprise for me, Mike, and the biggest winner of the week for this. Actually, had the most likes, most interactions online. Is Agatha House of Harkness series is coming to Disney Plus.
Oh, wow! I mean, we kind of had heavy rumors that this was going to be happening. If you listen to the show. So I wasn't super surprised to see it, but I guess the logo is pretty spooky. I was surprised, I guess, that they confirmed something maybe so quickly.
Right. Well, and a lot of those rumors we heard, there were a lot of shots in the dark, right? Like anything could have been it. So last time we saw Agatha, she was, kind of mind controlled to stay in that town by Wanda. So, is something going to happen to Wanda? Is this a history of Agatha? What's going to happen here and how does it play out? I don't know. Kathryn Hahn's an amazing actress. She's going to do great in this.
I think the most important thing to take away from this bit of news is this seems like something that was decided after the fact, right? I don't think when WandaVision as a show was in production, they had any thought to spin off Agatha. I think just things came out so well. The audience's reception to the character was so positive, and they probably had just such a great time with Kathryn Hahn in general. They're like, oh, let's spin off this character. So I think this is an important thing to note, that when you're watching a Disney Plus series, if there's just a character that's just becoming such a standout, there's a chance that they might get their own show, whether we need it or not. You know?
I feel like the same way with Echo, but that's probably more of an internal thing than an external thing, where Agatha's probably more of an external thing than an internal thing. But yeah, so that brings me to actually another point. I was talking to someone, or I was reading an article with a conversation with somebody. They said that there really is Feige has no dry erase board at Marvel of characters. They actually put stuff out there and see what the audience reacts to, and then they kind of build their plan from that. And this feels like the most relevant or most, I don't know, best example of that happening out there.
Nope. I'm getting on to them. I've said I've wanted to see this elusive whiteboard for so many years now, and they see me sniffing around and getting close. Yeah. So they're like, we got to throw them off the trail. Yeah. We gotta put to bed this rumor of the whiteboard out here because we don't want them searching for it. But I know there's a whiteboard somewhere. Yeah. There unequivocally there is a whiteboard with something written on it that has not been announced yet.
It just says profit. MCU equals profit.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what it says. But I would think content-wise for the show, it would make the most sense to do like a before and after. Yeah. Like how does she deal with defeat after, like, maybe like shaking off this magic? I'm sure there's going to be lots of crazy stuff happening in the multiverse of madness, and like, her spells and enchantments aren't going to like stay forever. Yeah. And then also like flashback to the past to kind of explain like the Salem witch trials a little bit more within the MCU. That would be helpful.
Well, my biggest complaint about WandaVision was like, how the hell did Agatha end up in this town that Wanda just happened to burst into, to magic from? So hopefully they use this show as a way to explain that, not just so I feel a little bit better, not that they have to, but maybe they'll do that so I feel a little bit better and sleep at night about that.
Yeah.
Next up is Marvel Zombies. Now, here's the biggest question. Is this the What If series, or is it the comic book version of Marvel Zombies? And the logo for this is very much the comic book version. Which actually has the superheroes retain their knowledge and personalities after becoming zombies. They just know they have to eat people to do that.
So if you watch the 2021 kind of retrospective in whole for the Disney Plus Day for Marvel, they do show the Marvel Zombies logo, and then right after they show it, they cut to a shot of zombie Scarlet Wanda. Witch, from What If. So I don't know. But that seems to be a pretty clear indication that that's what they're thinking. But
I'd like to agree with that, but she was killed in the finale.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, she was pulled from a different universe. Well, the planet exploded. Yeah. Could a zombie Wanda witch maybe survive a planet exploding? I don't know. Possibly.
Yeah. It could go either way, but the logo leans like, I don't know, that zombie universe kind of sucks. Like, they literally just killed half the heroes in like a subway fight, right? Like, why wait that long to kill half the heroes? So I'm like, you need a world where they can actually do more with this a little longer. So
is there a way to like reboot like the zombie universe a little bit? I mean, like Paul Rudd in in a jar of a head. It's funny. I like it, right? Is that where we're picking up, where we're leaving off? But yeah, you are right. They killed a lot of characters. I feel like a reboot is in order.
Yeah. Or a different universe with different zombie infection. Like, there's an opportunity here, and if it's animated, even better. They can go down all those rabbit holes.
I'm curious with these animated shows, with Spider-Man and with zombies, if they're gonna maybe approach a different art style from What If. I would say probably not, because usually a lot of animation, a lot of the pre-production comes into coming up with a look and a pipeline, so you can easily crank out more stuff along the way. That's why you see a lot of shows that look a lot like Bob's Burgers that come out of that studio, right? Because they have that whole pipeline set up already. It's really easy to rig and create new characters that look similar, even though they might not be in the same universe. So I wouldn't be surprised if these shows end up looking like What If, but I would hope maybe a Marvel zombie show would look a little bit more rough and ragged to kind of fit the tone.
X-Men 97 is not going to look the same, so that's interesting.
That definitely.
Freshman year is also a different art style. If you go look at the reveal of the character Peter Parker,
that also could just be 2D concept art too. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But it would be weird if X-Men 97 wasn't 2D.
So
right?
I'm saying I think that they don't have one studio. I think Marvel's farming these out to other companies because they don't have an in-house animation studio. So I think we're going to see different styles. Is my theory on those as well. So. Oh no, we'll see. Guess what? We don't have anything to go on other than a logo. So here we are, piston in the wind, if you will. This was cool. Secret Invasion got a new title card, which is, nice and fun. However, I think the biggest reveal for me is Samuel L. Jackson. He is aged up. His eye is scratched, and he's not wearing an eye patch, Mike. He looks angry.
He is mean mugging for sure. Unfortunately, I really, really wish the origin of his eye and his scars wasn't from a cat, even if it was an alien cat. Because I'm looking at this badass looking dude right now, right, with this with this creepy eye and these scars, and I go oh, that came from a cat, in a throwaway joke moment type of deal. So I won't let it affect my enjoyment of Secret Invasion, but it is a little unfortunate.
Oh no, I think it's great. I think it's even better that he's made up stories to make it sound like it's not a flurkin or an alien cat, if you will, the whole way through. But I mean, it doesn't matter because Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury is always going to be Nick Fury. He's always had that same attitude in this series, and I think this and then all the other stuff we don't know about the Skrulls, the shapeshifting. There's a lot we don't know about the show. And I think this one's probably one of my most excited coming forward out of all this. If I could be,
do you think this is gonna send off Samuel L. Jackson? Maybe start winding him down. I don't think a Disney Plus show would be the last place that we would see him necessarily. It seems like his big send off should be in a movie.
He'd be in he'll probably be in the Marvels.
Yeah, but I mean, he seems pretty fully realized as a character here, right? He's got his shield kind of emblems and logos stripped off of him. He's got the eye patch off. He's got the beard grown. He's just looks like he's ready to just complete his magnum opus.
Well, I mean, honestly, at the end of what was it, Winter Soldier, we didn't see him again until Infinity War, end of Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's building a spaceship, Chris. Right. That's where he's been.
Well, no, he didn't go to space until after he came back with the Skrulls. But I think we're just hitting the next phase of Nick Fury, a space Nick Fury, the spy of spies, dealing with literally espionage of shape-shifting characters. I think this is the more fun version of Nick Fury.
I do love the idea that we could be cosmic somewhere, a different part in the galaxy, whether it's with the Guardians or not. And then all of a sudden, Nick Fury shows up to tell people what's up.
Yeah,
wait, where'd you come from?
And thank God it's not like the comic version where there's all these life model decoys everywhere of Nick Fury. This is just an old human guy who's worn out of it. He's tired of your shit in the universe, and he's like, I need to and take some shapeshifters down. But I'm excited to see this. This is very, very high on my list of excitement things to look forward to.
Yeah, Nick Fury is the best example of a character that would not give a crap about anybody else's planet except for his own. So if he's like in a spaceship on another planet in another galaxy and like comes across like a celestial or something that's just like, oh, I'm going to blow up your planet to make more planets and increase the universe's size. And he'd be like, no, you're not destroying Earth. I don't care what you do. I'm going to do whatever I can to stop you.
Well, I always remember that conversation you had with Loki in Avengers when he's like, you made me a very desperate man. And he's like, yep, he'll do anything. So, Couple notes here to wrap up the Marvel thing. The online section version of Disney Plus now has a Spider-Verse section. Maybe more Spider-Man content is coming now after Friday, so keep your eyes open for more Spider-Verse stuff. Other shows that are still in the works that we didn't really get any information on: Armor Wars, Loki Season 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. So those were there, but they really didn't get highlighted at all. So
surprise. Well, at least if Disney Plus Day gave us anything for Marvel, it was, a solid 20 minutes to talk in the show this week about stuff coming up. So I guess it wasn't a total loss.
40 minutes.
Hey, this is see if you're disappointed with a marketing day from Disney, just come on over to Superhero Slate. We'll stretch it out and exaggerate anything.
That's right. And then so next up is Star Wars, Mike. The Obi-Wan and Kenobi quote unquote sizzle reel and concept art is really all we got out of this. We got nothing. Literally, they've been keeping it secret for years, and this is an opportunity for Vader and Obi-Wan to have a secret battle somewhere in between those movies that we never got to see.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, is that what the whole series is going to culminate to? Just a fight with Vader and Obi-Wan? And that sizzle reel, you got to be really careful when you're scrolling through it, right? It is really hard to tell what is new and what's old, right? Because you got to look for Ewan McGregor with a scraggly beard to know if you're looking at anything new. Because Vader has always looked the same the entirety of his existence, right? I guess he might be rendered in CG in some of the other movies, but if they show you a picture of Vader, you don't know if it's real or not, or if it's from the very end of Revenge of the Sith or not. So it was hard to pull out brand new stuff from there.
Yeah, apparently this takes place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, but I feel disappointed I don't know much else about the show after all the hype.
They interviewed the director,
Deborah
producer,
Chow?
showrunner.
Yeah,
and she said, obviously, we're going to kind of pick up where he left off from Revenge of the Sith, but we're going to explore more after that. There was some concept art of some different locales, but I mean, that's kind of pretty standard Star Wars fare to visit different unique areas. So, yeah, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot to come out of this, right?
Yeah, no.
And nothing about all of those other logos that they showed us last year, right? They announced 1,000 Star Wars things last year, and we don't get follow-ups on anything.
Andor had no footage again, which they had footage last year. It's supposed to take place in Q4, so are we supposed to care by July about Andor? No, I don't think so. And then Rogue Squadron lost Patty, or she's scheduling conflict, so it may be delayed indefinitely. So that's disappointing because it's the only movie I thought we'd get for a while. So
yeah, I'm honestly I wouldn't be surprised just at the state of just Star Wars in general, since it only really seems to be steady within the Disney Plus universe. If we see a headline of Taika Waititi, delays indefinitely or moves on to a different project, because Star Wars has not solidified yet. It's just been this murky ground that luckily the Mandalorian rose out of and made something interesting that people wanted to latch onto, but nothing else is on solid ground.
Yep, pretty much. So let's shift gears. We're going to talk about the next big thing, Mike, Gundams. Gundams.
Literally big in stature.
Yes, there are so many Gundam models. I was at Target last night. They have hundreds of Gundam models that you can buy now there. But Legendary Pictures shows a look at their live-action adaptation. I believe this is concept art. So it's literally the original RX-78, I think is his number, Gundam, with this big winged thing on its head and glowy green eyes and a fiery blaze of something else.
I think you sent this my way, and I just said, yep, that looks like a Gundam.
That's a Gundam.
But if I had to look into it a little bit more, it seems to be a little bit chunkier in a good way. Gundams, even the original versions of the robots, which look a little bit more basic in form and shape, have more of a slender human appearance, I would say. They're obviously still armored up, but they're usually really tiny waists and smaller features. This robot almost seems to look slightly more realistic, where I'm seeing a little bit more cords and like pumps and beams.
It's not as polished. It's missing some of its armor on one of its shoulder. It looks like maybe someone's trying to sabotage it during the build or something. Maybe.
Yeah. Like the waistline seems to look a little thicker. It still very much reads like a Gundam because we're mainly looking at a silhouette here. But it'll be visually slightly different. The only reason I'm a little bit excited about this is Jordan Voigt-Roberts. I follow him on Twitter. He is like all in on like these Japanese media products. He is super hyped.
Kong Skull Island was his, right?
Yeah. Like he's super hyped about making this Gundam movie. He's super hyped about the Metal Gear Solid adaptation that he's working on. So the passion is there. I'm not super familiar with his filmography, kind of outside of Kong, but at least Kong Skull Island had it had a sensibility to it, right? It had like an interpretation. Whereas like kind of some of the other like monster stuff was kind of just more straightforward, like, tentpole blockbuster movie. So yeah, we'll see how this translates to Gundam.
Yeah, I'm excited. I like Gundams, but more Gundam Wing than the original Gundam. So we'll see how they do.
Well, Chris, you and I both love the Twitter account of Awful Made Fan Poster.
Oh
right?
yes, we do.
If you click on this tweet and you scroll down, I don't know if the algorithm shows you something different, but the first thing you see is a fan-made Gundam poster where like Tom Holland is the pilot. God. Do you see it here? It looks
no,
it looks really
I don't see
bad.
that, but you'll have to send it to me.
This is an awful fan. It looks like somebody photoshopped Christian Bale's Batman utility belt onto him.
Oh no!
But I don't think Tom Holland's going to be in this one.
Yeah,
but who knows?
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll let you know. And lastly,
I think. I was just gonna say, like, usually standard fare for a Gundam pilot is you got to be an emo boy.
Yeah,
you got to have some sort of
young kid.
Yeah, you got to have some sort of emotional, destructive past before you can get into a Gundam.
Yeah, and lastly, the last thing I was gonna add here, Mike, is my own little personal thing. Aqua Teen Hunger Force is returning as Aqua Donk side pieces, and our first teaser of the show came back, and it's pure Aqua Teen. Carl's a security guard with Shake, and then there's a dancing robot. So this looks like classic Aqua Teen, Mike. I'm excited that we got a preview of it. I didn't think we get anything for another year, but I'm excited Aqua Teen's coming back.
Is this the is this the movie they announced?
This is the short. So after the movie, they announced like some shorts like in the meantime. Mm-hmm. So there's like 8 to 10 episodes that'll be back for this season.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because I was just reminded the other week that they announced like that Metalocalypse was coming back, and like Venture Brothers, I think, was another one.
And Aqua Teen, and I thought there was something else.
Maybe there was another one. Yeah. I don't know, but okay.
Anyway, well,
you do love your Aqua Teen.
I do, and this is very fun. So if you want to check that out, that's in our show notes. Mike, it has been an episode. We got this done. We've covered Disney Plus Day, thankfully. Still a disappointment all around, but anyway, we got to talk about it for a while. So, Mike, if people know what you're doing, what you're up to, where can they find you at?
Well, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and sometimes over on TikTok. And you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan, or Instagram, Valdan87. People know more about the show, where they can watch our cool videos we're recording right now because we're trying new stuff. Where can they find all this fun stuff at?
Yes, if you want to see our OBS experiments, or I should say Chris's experiments mostly, head on over to superheroslate.com. You can link over to our YouTube page from there. You can follow us wherever else you love to subscribe to delicious podcasts. And also head to Superhero Slate so you can get our show notes. We talked about so many things this week on the show. If you want to see that list of IMAX movies again, we got that in our show notes. If you want links to all the Disney Plus Day stuff we talked about, that's over in our show notes as well. We didn't even talk about like the Pixar stuff from Disney Plus Day. But maybe if there was more Lightyear stuff, I feel like that kind of jives with the show a little bit more, because I know our fan base is so excited about the cross-country Mater Lightning McQueen road trip, right? Yeah, I don't know about that. But you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to find podcasts like ours. And you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Get merch at superheroslate.com/store. And please reach out and let us know what you thought of Disney Plus Day. Was it a bust or was it a boon? for you over there. Let us know. What are you looking forward to? Are you queuing up in line already to see Ghostbusters Afterlife? We know at least one listener is.
That's right.
So let us know what you're hyped about here for the rest of 2021. Man, sometimes I forget it's even 2021 to begin with. 2022 just around the corner.
So
God,
close.
what is time? Yeah, I know that's like the joke that everybody leans on is what is time anymore, but it's sad because it's so true. Just because people keep saying it doesn't make it not right. But if you want to be a super fan of this show, it's so easy to do. You just got to share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and go get your booster shot if you're eligible. In some states, you don't even have to be a not protected class, but you don't even have to be like a pre-existing condition to get your booster shot anymore. So keep up with that and stay healthy, everybody. And we will be here next week.
That's right. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.